I'm Amy Cherry. A private plane makes an emergency landing on Flagler Beach Bridge before the cockpit burst into flames. It happened on the eastbound side of the bridge last night just before 8 o'clock. Flagler Beach Fire Chief Bobby Pace tells us those on board are lucky to be alive.
Private plane came down, 2 occupants on board, got out without injury, minor fire, some fuel spillage on the bridge. There was a small fire. One of the bigger concerns was approximately over 50 gallons of fuel that had washed into the drainage, and the fire crews are now working that with foam and water to basically deluge the system and then run it to the water treatment plant.
The plane was flying from Georgia and had stopped to refuel at Flagler County Airport. Police say those on board smelled smoke shortly after takeoff and were forced to make the emergency landing on the bridge. The National Transportation Safety Board will investigate the cause of the crash.
This portion of WNZF Local News, a service of the Daytona Beach International Airport. Fly to the Big Apple in a New York minute on JetBlue from the Daytona Beach International Airport.
The day has finally arrived. The historic solar eclipse will take place this afternoon, starting in the 1 o'clock hour. It'll last about 3 hours. This is NASA scientist Nicolene Weil telling us what to expect.
The moon crosses in front of the sun, and it totally blocks out the main body of the sun. And we're going to get to be able to see the solar corona. That's the solar atmosphere of the sun. And it's going to show up as white, wispy sort of rays that look like they're around the moon. But, of course, it's the atmosphere of the sun.
Is Flagler County in the path of totality?
You guys, unfortunately, are not in the path of totality. You guys are at about 90%. So what that means is the moon will cross in front of the sun. It will block out 90% of the sun's light. So you'll experience things getting darker, maybe a little bit cooler.
Is it dangerous to look directly at the eclipse?
Never look straight at the sun. If you have safe solar eclipse viewing glasses, you can watch as the moon sort of takes a bite out of the sun. These partial eclipse moments are really cool to watch.
And Dr. Weil, how can people help scientists study the eclipse?
Everybody can get involved and take measurements where they are of the temperature, how the temperature is changing, how the humidity is changing, and they can use the app called Globe Observer, and they can send NASA, everybody can send NASA the data that they're taking during this eclipse. If you have a thermometer and a smartphone, then you can get this app and send us the information.
Solar eclipse this afternoon. Can't wait. Rich Carroll, WNZF Local News.
Less policy, more bringing folks together.
Election season officially gets underway in Flagler County. This weekend was the Blue Ribbon Cake and Pie Contest at Princess Place Preserve, hosted by the Flagler County Republican Club. State Senator Travis Hudson was there.
Kind of breaking bread and taking a step back from all the chaos that's going on and trying to bond with one another.
Danielle Anderson, president of the Flagler County Republican Club, says the theme was about unity at a time when our country is quite divided.
What we really wanted to do is connect Republicans across the state. There's a disconnect as far as ideologies, and we wanted to make sure that everybody knows that we're all on the same team as Republicans.
Blaise Ingoglia, chairman of the Republican Party of Florida, traveled from across the state to kick off the election season. He says this event is about returning to the party's roots.
Over the past 10, 15 years, the grassroots and the people in the community have sort of been lost. They've been forgotten. So what we've been doing, especially under my chairmanship, is going back and training people on how to get votes in your community, how to go door to door, the personal contact. People forget that these are the people who get people elected. Yes, you're going to see a lot of 30-second ads on radio and TV during the election cycle, but it's the personal contact which makes a difference in elections.
250 people showed up for the inaugural year of the event. A Flagler County teacher has yet another run-in with the law, Ben Smith reports.
Last week saw 37-year-old Travis Holloway arrested for the third time in the past 8 years, this time for an alleged second domestic violence incident. The PE teacher at Buddy Taylor Middle School still has his job pending developments in the investigation into Thursday's incident at the Ormond Beach Walmart. The altercation involved transferring custody of a 3-year-old child between Holloway and his ex-girlfriend. Holloway faced felony charges for a 2009 incident involving an assault on a previous girlfriend. Those charges were later reduced to misdemeanors, allowing Holloway to remain employed with the school district. At latest check, Holloway remains in the Flagler County Jail without bond. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Ben Smith.
Big changes likely coming to the Flagler Mosquito Control Board. Debbie Young has more.
The budget cuts are needed after an audit a month ago revealed a 7-figure budget shortfall. Joe Cash has been the district's director since December of 1978, and he earns about $115,000 a year. He reportedly spent Friday writing his resignation letter and cleaning out his office. Assistant Director Mark Positano is expected to be appointed as the new director today. Auditors reported last month that the district had overspent by more than $1 million. The auditors say the agency's chief financial officer failed to include construction costs in the budget for the new facility that district staff moved into in June. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Debbie Young.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.